Supa, do you have anything you want to add since last week? Like any quick update on
Yeah, actually, first of all, still not served. Still haven't been served. And I wrote something that, everybody's been talking and doing research, and I've been getting some emails. And Richard said something really interesting. He said, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I have to say, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's definitely a defamation suit.
No doubt, yeah.
I would definitely encourage people to check out, what is the case law? The case law is like Bongino versus Daily Beast.
Daily Beast.
Yeah.
That's a very important case, Dave. Did you do a write-up on it?
I did a little bit of it. I did some research on it, and I found it fascinating that is exactly what, in my opinion, is going on in this case right now.
That's right.
I believe that Shockett and Hales could not make this a defamation suit, even though in their first complaint it was labeled as a defamation suit.
Yeah, that's right.
The core complaint was due to defamation, he has had damage done to him. But now, because they can't prove malice, there's just so many constitutional hurdles in the way here for defamation. They're trying to quick spin it into all this nonsense. And there's already been cases that have set this out, that once it's been proven, it started out as a defamation case. You cannot cover it up with this. You can't do this. So this should be dismissed on this case law alone. I did a write-up on it.
Well, it's funny because I answered the original complaint, as everybody freaking knows, okay? So I answered the original complaint, but when you go to the amended complaint, I'm like, this is all based on the defamation from before. This is still a defamation case.
At its core.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, well, should I even bother to do a motion to amend, basically? Because, it's there. I answered the defamation.
You never even were served with the new complaint.
Yeah.
Right.
There's something in Florida, and it's in other states too, like New York and other places. It's called the single publication rule. And what that rule is it relates to defamation cases. And it basically says you cannot take a defamation case about speech that you believe is harmful and false and turn it into another cause of action. You can't say that speech is tortious interference with your business.
True.
You cannot say that speech is a conspiracy to do this, that, and the other thing to somebody. If it's speech, it's speech, okay? And so that's what the single publication rule is. And what Supa Dave just talked about was this case by Dan Bongino, the assistant FBI director. Before he was assistant FBI director, he was a media personality that talked all about what was going on, conservative media person. And the Daily Beast and him got into a tiff. The Daily Beast said a bunch of shit about him. He said a bunch of shit about them. So Dan Bongino says, screw you, I'm going to sue you. And what did Dan Bongino sue for? He sued for defamation, and then he sued for the Lanham Act violations, and then he sued under the Florida the Deceptive Trade Practices Act. The same causes of action we have here, because Dan Bongino lives in the state of Florida. So it's a Florida case. It's an 11th Circuit case, okay, because the Daily Beast is not a Florida person, and Dan Bongino was. It's squarely applicable to the case in the Gainesville Federal Court. And
Absolutely.
What it said was, the two ancillary claims that were made by Bongino, the Lanham Act, which is the federal trade commercial trade libel type thing, and then the Florida deceptive practices, right? Those two things are out. The court threw them out. They said, you're talking about speech. And like I said, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. So get rid of those other two claims. We'll deal with the defamation. And then Bongino, being a public figure, was such a high level for the defamation, the case was over. No. We have the same thing with Jeremy Hales. That case, I think, is the only case that needs to be argued in front of these judges because it's squarely the type of case we have. We have a public figure in the name of Jeremy Hales trying to sue other people who are in media that are saying things. They're both saying things back and forth. It's he said, she said. And the fact is he's trying to make defamation or speech-based claims into things that are not speech-based claims.